going to interview three students here at the Canadian Institute for Cybersecurity. We'll try to understand the research work that they've been doing, and we'll try to understand that how their work affects the innovation and the cybersecurity landscape here in the country. So, with this, we'll move on to the part where we'll introduce our first guest. Our first guest is a student called Mr. Farruk bin Rashid. Farruk, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. So should I introduce myself?
Oh, no, I can. Yeah. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Farruk bin Rashid, as Sumit mentioned. So I came from Dubai. Basically, I'm from the Middle East. Originally, I was born and brought up there, and I did my schooling in Pakistan. I started my master's in computer science about 2 years ago, and it was in research. Even though I didn't intend initially to go in research, but I stumbled upon it and I liked it. And yeah, it's been 2 years since I've started. My interests are in NLP, AI, machine learning, cloud, software engineering, because that's what I was doing back home in Dubai. I was working there for 3 years. Other than that, in my free time, I like to read books, play football. Nowadays, more or less, I like to work out. That's the most frequent activity that I have been doing. Other than that, I like to do long walks since summer has started. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Farooq. I wish I could ask you your favorite football club or your favorite football player, but for this segment, we'll move on to some of the very specific question around your area of research.
Right.
So you mentioned a brief about how you have done your schooling in Pakistan, and you
Yeah.
spend some time in the Middle East. Between all that, what piqued your area in interest in the field of cybersecurity, and how you decided that you want to carry further in this field?
Well, so I was working in Dubai for 3 years,
Okay.
and during that time, I was developing banking applications.
Mhm.
I was developing web applications, mobile applications. I was very close in security.
Okay.
Like I knew that what I was coding could be broken, like how it could be broken, because I was coding it, right? So in 3 years, I learned a lot of things. I noticed a lot of things. I noticed, what could be fixed. Or I remember at one point, my application that I developed went to penetration testers,
Mhm.
and they tested it at least for 10 days, and they gave me like 10 vulnerabilities. And that was new for me, because at that point, I thought my code was perfect. I spent 1 year on it. Obviously, I thought it should be good. But at that point, I thought, okay, this is something that I might like to do. And then at that point onwards, I started looking at videos and looking at things and programs, research, and yeah, somehow I landed here then.
Okay, great to know that, Farooq. You did mention a brief about your area of research. So let's say if there's somebody who's absolutely non-technical, somebody like me,
Right.
how do you explain your area of research to them?
Yeah. So well, my area of research in simple words is fake news detection.
Okay.
Now, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but like if you think about it, during COVID, for example, if you remember 2020, 2021, misinformation was at its peak, right? People were saying that doing this will fix it, or eating this will cure your COVID,
Mhm.
or I don't know, 5G rays are causing COVID, for example.
Mhm.
Now this
I
was
heard all that.
rampant. So how do you tackle that? At that point, I think the area of fake news detection actually took a new height, and people started researching into it more. And I think that's what I'm working in on, a very small part, since it's a master's, but it's a pretty huge problem around the world, as we all know.
Great
Yeah.
to know that. It's certainly been seen in the last couple of years that how misinformation can affect elections. It can affect so many things in our society as well. So good to know that you're doing your research in this.
Yeah.
My next question would be: you did briefly mention that you like to read.
Yeah.
Is there a book that inspired you in somewhat way to do what you're doing today?
um Not a book actually, or I would say just my work, but I do remember that during the 3 years I was working, there's a book by Edward Snowden. I don't remember its name. I
Mm-hmm.
read a few, let's say like 100 or 200 pages, I think.
Okay.
In that book, he describes how how he got into cybersecurity, how he was working, where he was working, what he was doing. So I don't know if it's linked to that, but that was something really fascinating to me, and I wanted to somehow get there, I guess. Not
Uh,
to what he was doing, but like what he knew, his knowledge and all. So
oh,
yeah.
interesting. I hate being the one to say that I haven't read the book, but I've watched the movie.
Oh, I have to watch the movie.
I'll move on to my next question.
Mhm.
When you do your research, is there a specific methodology to your research that you can, that you can share with us?
So by methodology, you mean like from a technical point of view?
Yeah.
So now that my research is almost coming to an end, in our research, what we have done is, in simpler words, we realize that if you have a claim or you have a paragraph, in the age of LLMs, or in simpler words, ChatGPT, Gemini, you can't really differentiate if it's fake or not.
Mm-hmm.
I can give a piece of text to GPT or Gemini or Grok and say, make it real for me, like write it in a way that it looks real, and it will do that for you. So now you can't really rely on linguistic patterns, like you can't rely on the words themselves, right? So how do you figure out that this paragraph or sentence is fake or not? So now what we have started doing, and a lot of research is focused on this, is that you gather evidence
Okay.
based on that piece of text.
Okay.
So you have a simple text, for example, COVID-19 is caused by 5G, as we discussed. Now you start gathering evidence around this, and you
Okay.
make like chunks of evidence, and then you start essentially breaking it down to extracting the simpler pieces of text which connect to your claim. And then you have a big chunk where there is the claim and you have the evidence. And then we use an LLM, or GPT, Gemini. When I say an LLM, it means anything that ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, or the local LLMs that we have. So you give this piece of text to the LLM, and then it tells you if it's fake or not.
Oh.
So essentially, there are a lot of things involved in the middle. I cut out a lot of it, but that's sort of the methodology that we're following right now. So
Understood. Understood. That's always very interested to know that what's the methodology behind the research which is coming forward. And you did mention that misinformation does have an impact on I mean COVID and information, that it does has a impact on the society and on the politics. So from that point of view, how do you say that your research is multidisciplinary? And if you can share a few examples, that would be great.
So you mean in multiple domains, or in multiple domains within IT?
Both.
Oh, okay. So currently, our research is not really focusing on the domain itself. When I say domain, we're not focusing on health, politics. We have a mix of claims
Okay.
that we are focusing on. But essentially, what our research is more focused is like gathering evidence for a certain claim, and ensuring that we are able to run that process of extracting the evidence, running it through the whole pipeline within 1 minute for a claim.
Okay.
And we have a limited memory as well. So like the GPU space that we have is pretty limited.
Okay.
So our work is, one of the major parts is that we're trying to do it in 1 minute
Mm-hmm.
and within limited capacity. So you want to see, when we have limited capacity, when we have limited time, how good can your system perform? Because when you have unlimited capacity, unlimited time, you can do pretty well. But
Okay.
then again, it costs you money because you need a lot of space. So in terms of other domains in IT, it's targeting AI.
Okay.
We are touching LLMs a lot. I think
Mm-hmm.
LLMs play a huge role in my research. And then NLP,
Okay.
I think it comes under the same domain. And then I think privacy as well, to
Mm-hmm.
an extent. But yeah, these are 3-4 things that we are working on, or
Interesting.
domains.
Quite interesting to be honest. Now we do understand that research is very comprehensive and very detailed, and there are usually hurdles associated with it. So in your research, what's the biggest hurdle that you have faced, and how did you overcome it?
So to be honest, the biggest hurdle that I faced, and people face hurdles between the research, but the biggest hurdle I faced was when I started this area and I did literature review. I started reading about it. I'm reading multiple papers every day, and understanding what this area is about. It's interesting and everything, but what do I work on? Like, what is the problem I should target?
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the biggest hurdles in the start that I faced, because I
Okay.
couldn't figure out that what should be the problem that we should target and put all our effort in, because this area of research is, there are a lot of people working on it.
Okay.
So you want to ensure that whatever you are doing is adding value to the whole area, right?
Mm.
So it took us a while to figure out that this is the problem we want to work on. That's the first hurdle. And then secondly, we did face hurdles in the middle, like technical hurdles.
Okay.
We are running the pipeline again and again. We're getting the same results. We're changing everything, changing variables. It's not working, and then suddenly you change something and it works. So yeah.
Interesting, interesting. No, it's always the fun part is to understand what those hurdles would be,
Yeah.
and doing then going about trying to solve them with a linear sort of vision.
Right.
So we all have a certain motivation behind the work that we're doing. So what would you say is the most rewarding part of your research for you?
um, it's a little bit selfish, but the most rewarding part is that I'm learning a lot.
Okay.
And even though I know it's contributing to a whole space, that's second for me, that I'm contributing to such a huge space, but the amount of learning that I'm getting doing all of this, that's really good for me. I mean, I'm enjoying that a lot. It's pretty
Great.
rewarding. Yeah.
Great, great. No, it's always fun when the work that you're doing gives you a lot of learning, and you get to learn new stuff, and there's no sort of boredom or repetitiveness in your
Yeah.
work. You enjoy
Yeah.
you enjoy all that. Now you did mention it a little at the earlier, but if I can ask you, what are some of the practical application of the research that you're doing at this point of time, or the practical application that you see in the times to come?
So our research is pretty small scaled, I'd say. Um, Essentially, we are just trying to take a claim, get the evidence, and um, determine the veracity of it within
Okay.
1 minute. So the scale of it is pretty small, but I think in the larger scale of things, the system we have can be scaled to pick up any claim around the internet, be able to gather the evidence, and then give you the veracity within a good amount of time,
Okay.
and then within a good amount of capacity, like not use a lot of memory. But
Uh,
of course, there is a lot of work that needs to be done there.
hmm.
It's still like pretty small. Yeah.
One more question I would want to ask is, of course, the research that you do, you often share with the research community and people who are in the similar space as well. Are there any uh, ethical considerations that you have to make while doing that work, or resharing that work? What are a few ethical considerations that you have to make?
um I think, like, for example, in our area or any area of research, when you are reading papers, you might get ideas from somewhere, right? So if you're reading 10 papers, from one paper you might get an idea that maybe we'll try this and maybe this will work. Now the ethical part of it is that you have to cite them, or you have to credit them, that you use their method, and
Okay.
not say that no, I came up with it. So that, I think that's one part that you should do, because for example, in my research, we read like 10-15 papers from the past year, and from that we got a lot of ideas.
Okay.
So it's important for us to ensure that we cite those and credit those, that these are the ideas we merged and work for us.
Yeah. No, it's certainly a very important thing to do. I certainly wouldn't want to stumble upon a research and later on, figuring out that research was taken from somebody else. So ethics is a big part for it. Now, with this, we'll move on to the fun section
Yeah.
of the interview.
Yeah.
We call it the rapid fire round. I wouldn't need to tell you what it is. So I'll just, simply jump into the question, and you can just give me an answer that comes to your mind. Tea or coffee?
Tea. even though I'm having coffee now.
Look at the irony. What's your favorite app on your phone?
Uh, Instagram.
And favorite book?
um, I don't have a favorite book as of now, to be very honest. Yeah, I'd say Thousand Splendid Suns. That's the one that comes to mind, and
Uh-huh.
it's still fresh in my memory. So maybe that
Good, good.
that's one.
Uh, Windows, Mac OS, or Linux?
Mac OS.
Okay, the best place to code or write?
You mean location?
Yeah.
Oh, cafes. I don't know. I feel much better coding there.
Yeah, they have a certain vibe to them.
Yeah, with the coffee on the
Yeah.
side.
Early morning or you know, I mean late night for the productivity work.
Early morning.
Okay, physical books or the digital copies?
Physical books. Even though I do digital books a lot now, but physical books have a feel to it.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Now just try to understand how it look, how the day in the life of a researcher, you know, I mean researcher would look. What's the first thing that you do when you get up in the morning?
So I would describe my ideal day, because my day like varies a lot. Even though the day I have in mind sometimes doesn't happen. So the first thing I would prefer to do is, or try to do is pray.
Okay.
Um, uh, that prayer and reading the book, and get those things out of the way.
Okay.
And then having a pretty good breakfast, um, and then getting ready for work, making lunch, and coming to CIC.
Okay.
Then 9 to 5 work, and then if me and my friend we are going to the gym, then go to the gym, lift, listen to songs. That's the good part of the day, in my opinion.
Interesting, interesting. Farruk, with this, we come to the end of the interview. I certainly had a really good time understanding
I did too.
your research work, understanding your background, understanding where it is that you come from. That was really an interesting conversation, and thank you for the interview.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
So, our second guest is Mr. Arash Kariznovi. Arash is a recent graduate here at the Canadian Institute for Cybersecurity, and now he works here at the institute. Arash, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How it is you today?
Yeah, it's very good sunny day. I like
Okay.
that.
Okay. Arash, before we move on to some of the very detailed question about your area of research, why don't you, why don't you just give a very quick introduction about yourself?
Yes, sure. I'm Arash Kariznovi. I'm 26 years old. I came in Canada for my after having my bachelor in computer engineering at home. And yeah, it's been about 6 months that I've been graduated from my master in computer science from UMB, and I'm happy to be here.
Interesting to know that, Arash. When when it comes to your area of research, can you tell our can you tell our viewers what it is that you do? Especially a lot of our viewers, they would come from a non-technical background. So
Yeah,
if you can elaborate it a little.
yeah, sure. If I want to discuss my field of study to someone who's not familiar with technology, or at least cybersecurity, I would say that I'm the one that try to just find innovative ways to secure your data from your phone, data from your tablets, and or even from your smart meters at home.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay, so of course, like when a person decides to pursue their research in a certain field, there are a lot of factors that led them to do that. So what I mean sparked your interest in the area of cybersecurity, leading you to I mean pursue your master's degree in this field, and now I mean working in this field as well.
Yeah.
So what piqued your interest?
Yeah, sure. So from the beginning in the high school, I was interested in programming and computer engineering, but one of the just like turning point and what I really got interested in cybersecurity was one of my professors during my bachelor. So I had the course information security with her, and she was very good at teaching. And also we had different CTF uh, meetings, and that really made me interested in this
Ah,
domain. Yeah.
understood, understood. That's always great to know what's the motivation behind all the work that you're doing. Now, of course, with every field, there are certain misconceptions. So, what would you say, like, some of the misconception about your area of research?
Mm, it it's not like the misconception, but we are talking about cybersecurity. People just more non-technical people most think
People
about
like me?
uh, no think about more more than they more think about hackers than the ones that are just protecting, and they
Okay,
just yeah kind of they think about the offensive part, not the
okay,
defensive part. So it's not always related to just protecting against the incoming threats and attacks. So
uh-huh.
even before the attacks, there are some measurements that they are in place to just in kind of the defensive layer.
Understood,
So yeah.
understood. So, of course, in your area of research, there would always be a lot of bad actors, and then there are always good guys, like you. So, what would you say is the more heavier side at this point of time? Would you say that the good guys are a step ahead, or would you say the technical community or the research community is either at pace with them or outperforming them?
Okay, you mean comparing the bad guys with good
Yeah,
guys, which are
absolutely.
so I think first I think it's first about vulnerabilities, and
Okay.
then yeah, then the good guys find how to protect. I think yeah even if it is not true, you have to think that always there is a hacker which is more smarter than you. So I think this way.
Yeah, yeah, until we keep thinking
Yeah.
there is always a person smarter than us, then we keep learning. Now, of course, research is very comprehensive and it takes away a lot of time from your life as well. So outside of your research, is there a hobby or is there an activity that you're absolutely passionate about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I used to be a soccer player when I was young. So
Hmm.
yeah, I try to be in different meetings and matches whenever I get time.
Ah,
Yeah.
and did you mention you come from Iran?
Yes.
Iran has a good football culture, I've heard.
Yeah. It's like first or second sport in our
Ah.
country. We have wrestling and yeah, soccer.
Yeah, no, no, it's an interesting game, and sports is a good equalizer. It sort of equals the playing field, and it's a really good. Stress buster as well. Now we'll move on to some of the specific part about your research. Now, every research has a lot of different methodology that is being adopted. In your research, what are some of the methodologies that you guys apply?
Yes, sure. So we are working around the data privacy and security. Basically, uh, we apply solutions that when you're outsourcing your data to a third party,
Okay,
we can apply different solutions in order
okay,
to prevent insiders or even the man in the middle attackers,
okay.
in order to just prevent them to access your data, at least your fine grained data. So applying some solutions like homomorphic encryption using trusted execution environment or differential privacy would be some. Yeah.
Understood. So again, every research has a very futuristic angle to it. So if I have to ask you, like in your area of research, how do you see that your area of research makes the future better for the world of cybersecurity? Are there any future application that you think that on those application, your area of research is going to have a big and a positive impact?
Right, sure. So I think uh, it- the future that I'm thinking is the future that the privacy of the user's data is the priority,
Okay.
rather than the companies using their data or sometimes misuse your private data.
Yeah, yeah,
So
they do.
yeah, you're just trying to make the privacy the priority.
Ah, and interesting. I think going forward, users' privacy is going to be a huge issue. It is still now a huge issue. So good to know that your research is, I mean, tackling to some of those areas as well. Now, of course, a research can have a multiple application. When I say multiple application, it can be multidisciplinary. It can have implication in cybersecurity, tech, and social impact. So, in what respect is your research multidisciplinary?
Right. Sure. So I think the I think it's it's two-sided. With one side are the companies
Okay.
that they have to really respect the users. They have to, as I said, prioritize their users, and also there is the customer side. They have to be basically be aware of these things. They be aware of the solutions, that there are some solutions that they can basically take care of their data. They can protect their data. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think yeah, there are basically the users and also customers that kind of companies that are involved in this domain. Yeah.
Okay. Now, of course, every research has an impact. What would you say would be a global impact of your research if your research goes to the level of, I mean, completion or fruition? What would you say is the global impact of your research?
Right. Sure. So basically, mm, the 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 main goal is just to embed the privacy into the design
Okay.
when you're designing a system, because and also it's more about the developers. They have to just keep this in mind globally, that when basically they, because some of the developers, they just first design the system
Hmm.
and then they decide on their security measures.
Okay.
But the impact the research can have is that, so during your development
Okay.
phases you have to basically have the security in mind, and in that security and privacy in mind, and in that way you can have this more secure basically implementations and systems.
Ah,
Yeah.
glad to know that your research area will make the global community
Yeah.
secure and safe.
Yeah.
Now, I'll move on to some of the questions around the challenges and discoveries that you've had in your research. Now we all understand that research is very comprehensive, very detailed, and often there are, I mean, hurdles. So in your line of work, when you're doing your research, what is the biggest hurdle that you face,
Yeah.
and how do you solve it?
Yeah. Sure. So especially in the implementation parts,
Okay.
there in my field there's always a trade-off between the speed and
Okay.
also the privacy, and also the amount of data that you're basically giving out. Basically when you have the privacy, the more you have the privacy, the less
Hmm.
you output the data, because uh, the other parts, the companies also, they need the data, but
Okay.
at the same time you have to provide the privacy for users. And also the more you just have the privacy, basically it it decrease the speed, and basically it's a trade-off. You have to solve it. You have to just use different kind of uh, solutions to solve this. It's always a trade-off. Yeah.
Interesting. And do you face issues around the collection of data, the quality of data, and how do you often try to solve those issues?
Yeah, sure. For example, one of the solutions that comes in this field is trusted execution environment.
Okay.
Basically, the other solutions is or that you just transmit the encrypted data to the third party. They
Mm-hmm.
decrypt it. They have the access to the fine grade data, plain text data, and then
Okay.
they do the analytics. But using this trusted execution environment, you just transmit the data encrypted, and also inside the third party cloud, for example, there's trusted execution environment, as the name suggests. There is, you can think of a black box. Every analytics that they need is done inside that black box, and they don't have the access to the data. But at the end they have their result without having access to that fine grade data. So I think this is one of the
No,
nice
understood,
solutions. Yeah.
understood. Quite interesting
Yeah.
part of collecting the data. And of course, like research is not always moving in a positive direction. Sometimes you face a setback as well. So when you face a setback, how do you handle it? How do you tackle it? And how do you move along?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's the research is all about the challenges and setbacks. So yeah, so I was lucky to have good professors here and supervisors. So
Okay.
every time I can just have a small meeting, a quick meeting or discussion with them,
Hmm.
and with their experience, I think we can
Okay.
solve all the yeah.
Ah, nice. What would you say is the most, like for me, the most rewarding part of my work is meeting my colleagues who are very smart, very brainy. So I like to meet them and talk to them about different topics around cybersecurity. What would you say is the most rewarding part of your work?
I think every single day that I'm working here, I'm researching is rewarding for me.
Okay.
And also other than and those, yeah, just talking to new people, using their experience.
Okay.
And also other than these, when we publish a paper, when
Uh-huh.
we come up with innovative new solutions, they are all innovative moments.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting, interesting. How would you say, like, of course, your research is beneficial to the researchers community, but how would you say that your research is beneficial to the industry as well? If you can use a couple of examples, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. So basically one of the um, maybe benefits for the industry is every company is responsible for the customers' data,
Okay.
because there are some regulations they have to
Mm-hmm.
basically have their regulation in mind and then use the data for the customers from the customers. So using this technology, they can make sure that they just follow all the rules and they're basically um, they are in a safe place. Yeah.
Understood. We did ask this question with our previous guest as well, so I'm going to ask you,
Yeah, sure.
ask you as well. What are some of the ethical considerations you have to make in your area of research?
Yes, sure. So when it comes to ethical, so for example, there are many solutions.
Hmm.
They're all innovative, but they're very close to each other.
Okay.
Just there are small changes that make them each innovative and unique.
Hmm.
So basically, I think uh, in this domain of research that everything is completely close to each other.
Okay.
If you don't use good references when you're just using others, basically others implementations or others experience, I think there's some problem out of it. So I think you have to just every time that you use some others people's implementations or their thoughts, you have to just reference that. And I think it's for every research, not only my domain. Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. So again,
Yeah.
I did mention earlier that a few of our viewers come from a non-technical background. So if there is a listener who comes from such a background, or somebody like me, what guidelines or instructions would you have for them in order for them to keep themselves safe, secure their data, like what gadgets they should be using, or some of the practices that they should be following to make sure that they are absolutely safe in this world of technology.
Yeah, sure. So I think the main thing that is completely related to my field also is that they have to just every time they just log in or sign out to a new, for example, application,
Okay.
it would automatically ask them to just giving away their access. For example, they can give the access of their camera, they can give the access of their gallery to the application. So basically, every time they install a new application, the first question is to ask what kind of data this application is used from my phone device, for example. Yeah,
Interesting. So make a very informed decision about what data is it they're sharing,
yeah,
what application is it they're using.
yeah, exactly.
Interesting, interesting. So, look, with this, we have come to the part where the serious questions are behind us, and I'm going to ask you some of the very fun questions. This section is called the rapid fire. It needs no introduction, so I'll ask you a few very direct questions, and you have to choose an either and an or option. So my first question would be
Yeah, sure.
coffee or tea?
So definitely tea. Yeah, because I used to drink tea from when I was child, so
Mm.
I like tea more.
No surprises there. I would say people from Iran and people from India, they are
Yeah,
huge tea
yeah,
drinkers.
exactly.
I myself as well would always, prefer a cup of tea over a
Mm.
cup of coffee. What is your favorite programming language?
So I started with C++ and C, and I think I like I like it the most.
The
Yeah.
most used app on your phone and why?
Mm, definitely these days is Instagram for everyone, I think. But yeah, other than that, I use the multi-factor authentication too.
Oh, okay.
Many
I
times.
wasn't expecting that to be the answer,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
good to sort of know that.
yeah.
One tech gadget that you can't live without.
Definitely my AirPods. Yeah,
Uh,
they're light and I have a lot of meetings, so
uh,
yeah.
what's your favorite cybersecurity personality or influencer?
And
It can be a teacher as well, or it can be
yeah,
influencer.
exactly.
Anybody.
Yeah, I was thinking to choosing between my teachers, so so definitely I think uh, I had I've been basically I had two supervisor here, Dr. Korbani and also Dr. Kalikinkar. They are
Okay.
both the the people that I can really follow. They're
Uh,
yeah, they're
Good you
really
name that, because my plan was if you don't name them, I'm gonna show them this video. What's your go-to source for watching the tech news?
Can you repeat again? Sorry.
What is your go-to source for tech news?
Tech news, so it depends on the basically what type of tech. For example, it's been a while that I'm following the uh, basically news about the Web3,
Okay,
which they plan to substitute in some sections in Web2. So,
okay.
for example, there's a website called rex.com.
Mm-hmm.
There are some very good news about the vulnerabilities and securities regarding Web3. Yeah,
Understood.
yeah,
Uh,
it's really cutting edge. I like that.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Good to sort of know that. Now, of course, when you conduct research, there are skills that you learn which are related to your research, but then there are skill you learn which are not even related to your skill. So, what would be one skill that you learn uh, by studying here at the institute or doing your research, which was very surprising for you and not at all a part of your research?
So you mean apart from the soft skills,
Yeah, yeah.
even? Okay. Mm, let me think about that. So I think the opportunity that you have here, especially in Canada, is that
Okay.
you get familiar with different cultures from people from different uh, countries and cultures, and how I think just learning how to interact with each of them
Okay.
and how they prefer to interact with them. I think it was very enjoyable thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Canada as a country
Yeah.
gives you a lot of diversity, and with different diversity, the thing is there are often stories about people from their countries. Those are always the interesting one. If you could visit one country for a cybersecurity conference, which country would you like to visit?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I would say these days, I think I would choose Emirates. Yeah, that's I think it's becoming a very good hub for
Yeah.
different technologies too.
I would choose Emirates just for the food, not even for the cybersecurity. But anyways, it's not about me. With this, we'll move to the last segment of this interview, and this is about trying to understand a day in your life. Now, how do you, uh, you know, I mean, the area of research is very stressful. So, how do you manage your stress when you're doing your research?
Yeah, yeah. I used to go for work sometimes, but yeah, the problem is here we have the longest snow
Yeah.
and a long winter, so it makes it a little bit hard for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I cannot go for a walk during
Yeah.
winter.
No, I do find walking as a big stress reliever. I sort of call it like a free therapy. You don't have to pay anybody
Yeah,
to go on a walk, and it's
exactly.
absolutely nice.
Yeah.
Now, when you start your day at the workplace, what's the first thing that you do?
So the first thing is just I boil the water for the tea, and then start with the overall plan for the day.
Ah,
Yeah,
so if I have to ask you, and honestly, this will be my last question.
yeah,
I'm
sure.
not going to bug you after this. What would be the one thing that you wish people would know about a doctoral student? What is this one big misconception about the doctoral student that you would like to clear to people?
Yeah. These days I'm seeing different thing on social media that doing a PhD is very hard, is annoying, something like that. But I think it's for someone that really likes it, it's really good job.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that bad. So
Ah.
I think I recommend just think about that.
Ah.
Yeah, for some time maybe.
Thank you, Arash. It was really nice having this conversation with you. I certainly enjoyed our conversation, and I'm absolutely certain our viewers would have enjoyed it too. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much for you.
Thanks. With this, we move to the third guest of today's series called the Cyber Frontier here at the Canadian Institute for Cybersecurity. Our third guest is a student called Arbaaz Mohammed. Arbaaz, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Abbas, before we get into the research part of today's interview, why don't you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Awesome. So, like you mentioned, my name is Arbaaz. I come from Bangalore, India,
Okay.
and I had about 3 years of experience working in the industry.
Okay.
And now I'm here in Canada. I just want to upskill myself, get the taste of research. So here I am at CIC.
Abbas, if let's say somebody non-technical or technical wants to understand more about your area of research, can you please elaborate to them about your area of research, what it is that you do?
Okay, so I have two interesting research topics or projects that I'm working on that I'd like to share.
Okay.
So the first one is the pretty much that everybody understands detecting fake news.
Ah,
So
interesting.
you so we have these interviews happening where people make claims
Yeah.
or people just posting on social media. So how do you know if that's actually fake or true or if it's biased?
Okay.
So we are developing systems which can do that. And the other topic that I'm working on is risk prioritization
Mm-hmm.
and vulnerability detection.
Ah, okay. So, is there a certain methodology that you're following? Let's say, hypothetically speaking, a certain politician comes and has a news conference, and he end up making certain, certain claims. Half of those claims are a misinformation. Is there a methodology that you are following in order to understand and come to a conclusion that this was misinformation, and how it is that we know it?
Yes, so that's a great question. So the way we do it is when you make a claim,
Hmm.
it could be like multiple parts to it. Some
Okay.
parts could be true, some parts could be false, some parts could be like you're almost there, but you got slightly off. So the way you would ideally fact check is you would need this knowledge base, correct?
Okay.
So if I wanted to fact check what Donald Trump said, then I would need to get data from the internet about the exact facts,
Okay.
right? And then compare it against what he's telling.
Mm.
So it needs to be grounded in factuality, in objectivity, right? And I need to do this while being unbiased so that I can give a very fair evaluation.
Understood. Donald Trump has no idea that he's being discussed in a certain town here in Canada.
Oh,
But
yes.
but anyways, uh, what sparked your interest? Like you mentioned briefly that you come from India in a city called Bangalore. You come from a tech background. Then you worked for a few years. What piqued your area of interest in this particular topic?
Okay, so it's a long story.
Okay.
Back when I was doing my bachelor's in computer science,
Hmm.
I was briefly introduced to cybersecurity by my friend. He was into hacking,
Okay.
so I tried that out a bit. But then when I moved to the industry, I was more into computer vision and AI.
Hmm.
So I want to naturally translate that into language, understanding language using AI
Okay.
from vision. Um, and then I wanted to, of course, explore how research felt like. You don't really get too much of a choice of that in the fast-paced industry.
Okay.
So I found a supervisor. We found like mutual interests,
Hmm.
and he wanted to work on detecting fake news, and that more or less falls under language. So that is like one application of cybersecurity, and I always wanted to find areas where I could marry AI and cybersecurity, and this just felt like the perfect area.
Okay.
And then after coming here, I got involved in more projects,
Hmm.
like the vulnerability management
Yeah.
project I told you about. Again, I found areas where I could apply AI there as well. So I think I found my niche now. So it's like a very gradual evolution, I could say,
Okay.
me coming into this field.
Ah.
Yeah.
Interesting to see marrying of artificial intelligence with cybersecurity. Um Now, of course, your area of research is something to do with fake news, misinformation. So when talk about this particular area of research, what are some of the misconceptions either in the research community or even in the industry?
So I think what most people think is detecting fake news is a very technical thing,
Okay.
but there's a lot that goes into it. Correct? You have psychology,
Mm-hmm.
you have sociology, like understanding the spread patterns,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the bias in the media itself.
Okay.
You know, like some of them are left leaning, some of them are right leaning.
Yeah.
So you need to take what they say with a grain of salt. You need to consider all the perspectives. So it's not that easy. You don't have like a magical tool where you
Mhm.
can just click and say that, hey, is this fake or not? Maybe there's more to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something I think people need to understand. It's fake news. It's not just yes or no.
Yeah.
It's a very gray area.
Yeah. Ah, interesting. Interesting. Good to see that there is a topic in cybersecurity that's not very technical, and somebody like me also can make a lot of sense out of it. Now again, research takes a lot of your time. It's very complex. It's very comprehensive. What is that one hobby that you have outside of your research work?
So I like organizing things,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to be very much involved in making music.
Oh, okay.
So I still kind of continue doing that. So every week or weekend, um, I go out and pick out new music that have come out for each genre. I handpick them and I reorganize my playlist,
Mm.
and then I use that for my next week. I just listen to them throughout, and I keep doing this over and over again,
Ah.
finding new talents, new artists, new music.
Oh, okay.
So that's a hobby I picked up.
Oh, that's good. Maybe I can steal one of your playlists from you.
Oh yeah, they're public.
Okay, okay. I will look for that. Now, again, the area of cybersecurity is very multidisciplinary, and you did mention that uh, there is a multidisciplinary approach to it. So, in what ways your research very multidisciplinary?
So first of all, I think I've pretty much uh, mentioned it. I'll just try to elaborate on some of it. There is the AI aspect to it. There is the intelligence aspect to it. So you need to build intelligence systems because fact checking is not simple. There's a lot of evidence you have to sift through just to know if something is true or false. So it's not something that sometimes even I struggle. I could see when I was going through the claims, even I
Mhm.
couldn't make out if that was true or false. So it's that hard.
Okay.
And then of course you have the psychology aspect to it. What you think is fake may not be fake for me because I'm biased,
Okay.
correct? And then you have the communications, right? Understanding spread patterns, how to what is the government trying to tell you? Are they trying to spread a narrative? So you have that conspiracy theory as well. So there's a lot of it's a multidisciplinary approach, I think.
Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. Now, again, fake news, disinformation, misinformation, uh, it does have an impact on our society. It does have impact on the politics, even the kind of politicians that come forward, or for that matter, how the result of a certain election can be changed through a lot of misinformation. So, not in just that respect, but overall, what do you see that in long run, what will be the global impact of your research?
Mm. Again, I'd like to start with the problems. I think when you address the problems, that's where you see where the impact goes.
Yeah.
Um, so, well, you mentioned elections, of course. So you can actually have fake news go to that scale where it can actually tip the scales of government itself.
Okay.
But sometimes governments or even influencers or people, they just use it to influence the media, the masses, the public. uh, you do it over a certain period of time,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and this can be like very I wouldn't say it's like factual, but it's more you're trying to like nudge them towards a certain opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can detect that shift,
Okay.
that someone's trying to do something like that,
Okay.
or blatantly outright trying to spread misinformation, you need to be able to do that while at the same time still maintaining freedom of speech, right? You need to know what's freedom of speech and what's harmful content. So yeah, there's a lot to it.
Now again, it's very difficult to navigate this space, and you did mention that, okay, uh, fake news for me might not be fake news for you, misinformation for you might not be misinformation for me, because we both might be, consuming two different, source of information. I i deeply believe at heart that the information that I have is accurate, and then you deeply believe at heart that, the misconception, sorry, the information that you have is absolutely accurate. In that sense, are there certain methodology that a non-technical person like me could follow to understand that, okay, this is you know this is misinformation and this is not misinformation?
Okay, so this is going to be like a guide to fact checking for someone new to this.
Okay.
Um, so first of all, do not be blindsided by influencers.
Okay.
Just do not blindly believe them. So you need to do your homework,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you come across something that has the potential to be really harmful, then you need to do your homework. So get a whole bunch of articles. Don't just stick to your favorite media outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe get it from the left, from the right, from the center. Get all the views, and then form an opinion,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Understood.
Because there is this thing called information bubble
Okay.
or echo chamber. What happens is, I think you would have seen this on Instagram and
Yeah.
YouTube, right? You would get the reels or the shorts that is more based out of your personality. So maybe if you like to work out, then you would get reels about working out. Or if you like politics, you would get reels about politics. So
Yeah.
the algorithm is just trying to throw stuff at you,
Yeah.
which is what you believe. So you need to get out of that chamber and explore more.
So what you're saying is that just don't follow the algorithm. Try to see news from different sources, different angles. Maybe if somebody is following a right-wing party's news piece, also have a look look at what the left wing of the news piece is also saying. So maybe,
Exactly.
understand both side of a particular argument.
Exactly.
Ah.
Because then you again go and influence other people, and then this goes into a snowball effect.
Hmm.
So, yeah, just do your homework.
Understood. Understood. Very, very interesting. Interesting, perspective. Now, look, of course, research is so much about, digging deep into a problem and then coming out with a solution. and a lot of times your approach at the beginning might be different to your approach in the middle or your approach at the end. So how has your approach, changed over times in your particular area of research?
I think this has it has changed like hugely. I think because when I started out, I didn't know anything about research.
Mm-hmm.
I was just reading random research papers that my supervisor was giving me.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found out in fake news is that there are a lot of niche areas where people have contributed,
Mm-hmm.
and they've gotten like really good numbers or accuracies at detecting fake news in those niche areas. Maybe in the domain of politics, or
Okay.
maybe in detecting fake news in healthcare. But what I haven't seen was like a more a holistic system which
Okay.
could probably like take care of everything and do it at scale
Mm-hmm.
and give you like results probably instantaneously, if not with good accuracies and explainability.
Understood.
And so I try to like move towards that direction,
Okay.
and that has something that has evolved over months. It's
Mm.
not like something that I came across to this conclusion in just a month or two.
Understood.
Yeah, so this was like the research gap I was looking for, and then I came across it. So
Uh, okay. Now again, we all have different motivations and different, reward levels. What is the most rewarding part of your research?
so there's two things. One is uh, when there are setbacks,
Okay.
correct? When you expect something to work out, like you have a hypothesis, correct? When you start out on working on a solution that maybe it's going to work out, this is what is going to be the end result. But when it doesn't work out, that gets you thinking maybe there's a better way to do it,
Yep.
or what went wrong. So that debugging. And the other dopamine rush you get is when things work. So it's just kind of like, yeah, it's a double-edged sword. So
No, no, no. It does sort of feel like when things work, you have this dopamine to keep going, and even when things doesn't work, you feel like you need to maybe dig deeper and maybe see some other options by trying to show that those things work. Like, uh, if I sort of say that uh, when it comes to misinformation, fake news, all such non-technical topics, how can a non-expert contribute to the cybersecurity of this particular area?
I think we already probably answered this question.
Yeah.
So you need to do your homework.
Uh-huh.
So just beware of what you come across on social media.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of fake news being spread, people trying to make you think in a certain direction or opinion. So just beware of that. There's a lot of narratives and
Yeah.
conspiracy theories going on about.
Interesting to
Yeah.
know that. Now, with this, we'll move on to the fun part of the interview.
Yay.
And by now, you would know it's the rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, and you got to pick one of them. And it just have to be that spot an answer. Biryani or veg pulao?
Biryani. Mutton biryani.
Oh, Windows, Mac OS, or Linux.
Mac OS.
Ah, uh, the most surprising skill you acquired by enrolling yourself in this particular research.
Probably patience.
Uh, Physical books or digital copies.
Uh, Physical books if it's a novel, digital if it's something technical.
Uh, what would be the first thing that you will do after completing your course?
I think I'm going to go back home and go on a vacation.
Hmm. What's the latest book or article or an influencer's video that you saw that had an impact on you?
I think probably I'd like to credit my professor,
Mm-hmm.
Professor Saqib.
Yeah.
Uh, he just he just has his outlook towards privacy that it just astounds me, and I want to be like him. So
Mm.
yeah,
We'll definitely show a copy of your interview to him just
yeah.
in case. Uh, Now, just to the last segment, we'll try to understand the day in the life of a student, the day in the in the life of a researcher. So, what's the first thing that you do when you start your work day?
Oh, coffee.
Uh, me too. Uh, what can you share a favorite memory from your time at the institute doing your masters?
I think that was probably in the initial days when I just came new to Canada. We had to take courses,
Hmm.
so it was a lot of fun and new people that I met from different cultures.
Okay.
We hung out, we made some good memories. So
Hmm.
those are probably the fond times I would look back to.
And with this, I'll come to the last question of the interview. Let's say somebody is starting their career in research as a student or as a full-time researcher. What advice would you have for them?
So I think if you're starting out new, you just need to make sure that if this is really what you want, um, do a lot of background research and homework in finding out if this professor of this research domain is the right fit for you, because this is quite a commitment.
Okay.
I don't want you like going down the line and then realizing that this was a waste of your effort,
Mm-hmm.
because then you would have to like go back around and do it all over again. So you just have to be like very sure of it.
Okay.
So you do that initial work, it's gonna pay out in the long term, I think.
Yeah. No, no, good advice. I think for young researchers, just be sure you are in it for the long haul. It's not something that you can do in the short run. And with this, Arbaaz, we come to the end of the interview. I certainly enjoyed our conversation and our conversation with the previous students as well. So this was end of today's session, the Cyber Frontiers, where we interacted with a student researcher, try to understand what it is that they are doing in the field of research. I certainly had a good time. I hope you all had a good time as well. So at this point of time, it's a goodbye from our side. Thank you.
Thank you.